Confirmation battle taking us to a new political low on the other side of the aisle. Key GOP senators say the president's remarks about Blasey Ford last night are appalling, unacceptable, and just plain wrong. The administration now fighting back. Now, as soon as that FBI report, the 7th on Kavanaugh's completed, the White House does get the first look. Will the president continue to stand by his nominee? Now, the one and only Sean Hannity in his Fox News at Night debut.
Thank you for having me. I congrats on the show.
Thank you.
You're doing great, and it's an honor to be with you. I haven't been on the show. You've done amazing work on Supreme Court issues over the years, and you know this issue very well. But I don't think it's ever been that bad or this bad as it is now. And you know what the sad part is? To me, it's getting, when politicians are saying get in their face, and they're following Sarah Sanders and kicking her family out of a restaurant, or Pam Bondi, or Secretary Nielsen, then it's Ted Cruz, then it's Mitch McConnell, now the example that you just brought up. And I'm thinking, somebody's going to get hurt here. This is now, we're at a tipping point. But the big challenge now is this: whether America is going to remain a country that believes in due process, the presumption of innocence, our Constitution, the rule of law, or whether or not guilt by accusation rules the day. Now, we're going to find out probably by Friday, Saturday, the latest, whether or not Republicans are going to stand up against what are allegations that have no corroboration, that have inconsistencies. It's a very crucial moment for the country, in my view.
Well, and you know, there are a number of Republicans who are on the fence. They're the ones we're really watching: the Flake, Collins, Murkowski, a couple of key Democrats as well. But they say they had some negative reaction to the president last night in his rally. Here is what Senator Lindsey Graham, who's a big supporter of the president, here's what he said about those comments from last night.
So President Trump went through a factual rendition that I didn't particularly like, and I would tell him, knock it off. You're not helping. But it can be worse. You can actually kill somebody's cat and puncture their tires to get them to shut up. So, you know, what he said.
His reference there in the second part, obviously, back to the Clinton years.
Yeah.
And
well, there is a double standard. Keith Ellison, more recently, I mean, in the case of the woman that is accusing him, I've not heard any of these members of the Senate Judiciary Committee or any of the Democrats call for an FBI investigation into Keith Ellison. And apparently, the woman making the allegations has text messages, tape recordings, doctor's reports. And they say nothing. Or in the case of Bill Clinton, if we really want to go back to people earlier in their lives, well, we can go back to when Bill Clinton was the Attorney General, the rape accusation of Juanita Broderick. Look, the double standard stinks to high heaven. You mentioned 3 Republicans. They asked for the FBI report. My sources tonight are telling me that it pretty much just reiterates what the Senate Judiciary Committee, their conclusions, what the investigation is. Remember, the FBI will not reach conclusions. They'll not make recommendations. If that's the case, how do these 3 Republicans justify now moving the bar? I'm beginning to hear, well, maybe he doesn't have the proper temperament.
Well, you know, they're worried about the fact that the judge and the professor, it appears, have not been interviewed at last check by the FBI, and they say it's not complete without those 2, although they've both given hours of sworn testimony.
They've given hours of sworn testimony. Unless they have something new to offer, we already know where they stand. We know what their stories are. Look, in the case of Professor Ford, she said there was an eyewitness to the alleged assault. The eyewitness apparently again has gone on record saying it never happened. Her best friend says she has no recollection of ever being at any party where something like this happened, or was ever told about it, or ever met or knew Judge Kavanaugh. And if you break it down with each case, this is pivotal. We're not a country, you know, we've gotten things wrong in the media. A lot of our colleagues, you know, I was right about Richard Jewell. I was a local host in Atlanta at the time, and he thanked me for not rushing to judgment. With Duke Lacrosse, UVA, Ferguson, Missouri, Cambridge Police, Baltimore, Maryland, Trayvon Martin, everybody rushes to judgment. They think they know how these things are going to work out. There's been a full, now 7 investigations into Judge Kavanaugh. He has made a passionate defense of his position, and without any corroboration, this man belongs on the court. And if the risk is, if these Republicans now move the bar, change what the standard is, now it becomes about temperament, not about the FBI report. What they have done is they've now opened the door that every single person ever brought into any important office is going to be subject to the same lies, smears, besmirchment, the character assassination, and frankly, the bludgeoning of their family.
Yeah, and that's going to happen on both sides of the aisle. People have to remember, if you set a standard now.
It'll go both ways.
Yeah, and as a woman and as an attorney, I do think it's very important that people come forward with these accusations, but then that we do have due process.
Listen, as a father of a daughter, somebody who has 3 sisters, let me tell you something. I was glad the Republicans took this seriously. They did the right thing, but the evidence didn't corroborate it. At that point, we are a country that believes in due process and presumption of innocence. And if it doesn't end up that way, we will have gone backwards in ways that I think will be unpredictable at this hour.
Yeah, for everyone
involved
in public service. Sean, thank you.
All right, Shannon,
good to see you.
Congratulations on everything.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.